Hello, 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 friends. I hope that everyone is doing extremely well. I am so excited to be here with you today. Something funky is going on with the I don't know what's happening here. I'm sorry for those of you who would be watching on the Fun with Furls page. For some reason, StreamYard is not connecting it. I don't know why. But I believe I am live on all the other platforms. I'm on Crochet Foundry and I'm on YouTube and I'm on the Furls main page. So we are live. Come on in the room, everybody. I am looking forward to having an amazing conversation with Victoria from In the Stitch with Vix to talk about her pattern that was in the February issue of the Crochet Foundry magazine. I hope that all of you have downloaded your March issue. It is now available, and I'm going to be chatting with designers from that issue a little bit later on this month. But wanted to give the February issue some love because we didn't have a chance to do that last month. And so come on in, everybody. Come on in. I'm going to just click remove because I don't know what I just did. I don't know what I just did, y'all. Hopefully, y'all can still see me. Come on in. Let me know who you are and where you're coming in from. We are getting ready to have a super great conversation with Victoria. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you are here. So I'm going to let you all come on in. Let me know who you are and where you are coming in from so I can give you some Mrs. Deveter love. And then I am going to bring Victoria on and we are going to have a fun conversation about her latest design in the magazine. Hello to you, Miss Ola Joe and Sherry and Kiva and Nikki and who else is here? Keith, hello to you. I'm so glad you can make it. Michelle, I want to know how to pronounce your name, so you're going to have to message me and just say your name in a voice note or something. Michelle Brown. We have the same last name, and I need to know how to pronounce your name. She put a message in earlier and said that she might not be able to stay on for the live, but wanted us to know that she received her March issue of the magazine, and she's loving all the patterns, has already picked out a top that she's going to make. So that's really exciting. Come on in, everyone. Let me know who you are. Hi, Julie. Good morning to you. Who else is here? Teresa, hello. Come on in, everybody. Hello to all my friends. I have missed you all, and I'm glad that you're hanging out with me. Okay, it's 13 people in the room. That's a good enough number, right? 13 is a good enough number. I am going to bring Victoria from In the Stitch with Vix.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
We made it happen.
We made it happen. I'm sorry for last week for those who are watching.
It's all good. We forgive you. Julia, I'm just looking at people's names and calling you other names. Victoria, let everybody know who you are, what you do, where you are, all that good stuff.
So I am the designer behind In the Stitch with Vix. I love designing for Crochet Foundry. I'm really bad at. I think I'm losing track at how many issues I've done now, because I've done a few.
You've done a few.
Maybe 6-ish. So I was in the February one, like Mrs. Deveter said, but I actually am also in the March one as well. So yay! But both of them use Tunisian crochet, so that's fun. If you haven't tried it yet, we can talk about it and see what's stopping you from trying it. Try it. I use knitting, so this is one of my I made this as well. I love knitting. I love crochet, Tunisian crochet. I tried to sew as well, so I'm getting there.
Oh my goodness, you guys. So when I saw the March sweater, I was like, wait a minute, this is Tunisian and crochet, and like it is so pretty. Tell me what made you say, okay, I'm gonna mix the two. I'm gonna blend them.
if I'm very honest, which I will be, because I always
It's
try to be
okay.
honest. Yeah, exactly. I am not great yet at crochet cables. I said it.
Okay,
Uh,
you said it.
I said it. I have done crochet cables before, but I'm not great at it. A technique I loved for crochet cables was actually by Stephanie Aaron. I don't know if you know her as a designer, but she used the live loop crochet cables, which look really similar to knit cables, which I love. And because I knit as well, I love like the knit look cables.
That sweater
So
is knit. That
yeah, this is knit. Yeah.
look at
So
those cables, y'all.
yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love
Girl.
it. I got to figure out how to do that in Tunisian, and then wow, I'm away with it. But yeah, so because I've done Tunisian cables a couple of times, for me, I actually find it easier because it's similar to how I knit the cables. So I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna submit a design with the Tunisian as the cables, and then I love to have a project on the go that is kind of easy as well. So in this pattern, once you get past it's only 4 Tunisian panels, very thin to do the cables. Once you get past that, everything is just single crochet. So you can sit in front of the telly, you can just, do what you want to do, listen to music, whatever, and you don't have to think about it. So I love that about this pattern. Like, it looks great, but once you get past that cable bit, you're fine.
Wow. And so, okay, so tell them the name of the pattern just in case they don't
So
have.
it's the Blissful Harmony. Blissful Harmony,
That
I
sounds
believe.
right.
It sounds right. I'm gonna double check because that was I was already thinking about this month's one. I'm right there. Where am I? Yes, Blissful Harmony. You would think I know that, and I said it right. Blissful Harmony sweater. So I made it in Wonder, Furls Crochet Wonder yarn, in the color Thatch. This color is beautiful.
It's so pretty. I don't have any by me, but that color is beautiful. Actually, I think
A little
I
bit.
made this doll's hair with thatch. Is that
Oh,
it?
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not showing up great on the camera. It's completely. It's brighter in real life.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, I
beautiful
love it.
color. And I just love it in the, like you said, in the cables. It just looks amazing. I really enjoy your patterns. They are always just so intricate and so beautiful. And
Thank
the
you.
pictures make me think I could do it, but I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to try one day. One day I'm gonna make
Honestly,
a garment, y'all, for people
yeah.
as
With this
doll.
bit, like I said, the hardest part is the cable, but I did do a little video for that. But if you guys have any questions, you can message me. It's fine, and I can try and help as much as I can. But getting past that cable bit, and it's like I can't remember how many rows repeat it is in the pattern exactly, but it's only like a 6 or 7 or something like that row repeat for the cables.
I think
So
it's
once you learn that repeat, you're okay.
I love it, love it, love it. So you said you have a pattern in the March issue. Tell us about your March pattern.
Yes. So this is even easier. If you haven't yet picked up Tunisian crochet, go for it. It literally uses the 2 basic stitches of Tunisian crochet, which is the simple stitch and the knit stitch, but you just alternate them to create this beautiful texture. And you can technically use whatever side you prefer. If you want to show the right side, you can show the right side. If you want to show the wrong side, you can show the wrong side. But it's a table runner.
Oh,
You can do it as a stash busting project because it doesn't use a huge amount of yarn. I used 5 colors of Mary Maxim for that. So it's great for the Easter period. It works up so quickly, so you still have time if you want to make it for your Easter table Sunday setup or whatever. But
I
yeah, it's such a
love
quick
it.
whip.
So have you always Tunisian crocheted?
Um, I think I've Tunisian crocheted nearly as long as I've been actively crocheting, because I was originally a knitter, which I learned at like 12, 13 or something. But I just made the basic scarves. I didn't really do too much. And then when my sister was having a baby in 2013, I knit him squares and put it together for a blanket, and I crocheted around the edge. And then from then I started picking up more and more. But I only used to do like, I didn't go too much into Tunisian crochet until I think about 2019, and I learned, or 2018, 2019, I learned to Tunisian crochet in the round more than I did it more in the round than I did flat.
Okay.
Yeah, and my very first ever pattern that I like published by myself, and before I even did magazines, was a Tunisian in the round pattern.
Wow. Yeah. So you went from crochet, from knitting squares to crocheting around it, to doing Tunisian crochet, to writing your own patterns. How did you come? I always ask this question of designers, but how did you start designing?
I think even like makers, even though you're not necessarily designing something from scratch, anytime you're modifying a pattern, you're picking up the skills you need to make something without following a pattern exactly to the T. But for me, more than I followed a pattern, I just went by like measuring things. I didn't used to gauge swatch. I just used to just make a chain and then go with it and hope for the best. I still like, I will gauge swatch now 100%, but I still like, it's not the easiest thing to do. I get why people don't like it, but if you want those like A1 results, you're gonna want to gauge swatch. That's just the difference between making it look a little bit more professional or making it look like, you know, not amateur, but like it's not as that to that level, basically.
Yeah, I know. I really need to get my gauge swatch life together, because I just don't do it. I don't. I'm honest with myself and with everybody. I do not gauge swatch, and therefore I do not make garments for people.
But that's the thing, like, it depends what you're making, because if you're making something where you literally don't need, like, if you're finding things to make that make you happy and you're not needing to gauge swatch, like, go for it. Like when I used to make my little bikinis for myself, like I never gauge swatch. I just did it and I held it up, and if it looked and felt good, like that was me.
Right.
So yeah.
I'm just like, I know I get yelled at from Pam and Lorraine and Crystal, everybody. Everybody's like, Deveter, are you serious? Why aren't you gauge watching? I'm just like, I just want to go honest to God. I always look at patterns and I just scroll past the gauge.
Yeah.
I always do. I just
live life on the edge.
I do. I live life on the crochet edge.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I have a question, a Tunisian question for you. And I saw that someone in the comments section said she wants to learn how, or they want to learn how to Tunisian. What would you recommend for those of us who are just starting out in Tunisian crochet? What should we start with?
Sure. So I think what I did was just squares. And when I tried to teach my friend even just normal crochet, I just did like little, essentially it's a swatch, but you don't have to call it a swatch if you don't like the word, but just try a little patch, make a few chains and just like get into the rhythm of it. I love so I use the Furls crochet hook in both the Feb and March pattern, but you want to find a hook that has a decent enough point to it. You don't want it to be too sharp, but you want to find a hook that has something like that, because the first ones, I'm going to be honest, when I first started, I tried, I got like a set on Amazon. It was really cheap set of wooden bamboo hooks with a long like plastic cord, and it had a little button on the end or whatever it had on the end. but I didn't get on with them great, and it kind of put me off because there were snags on it, like it kept catching my yarn. And as much as people might say like, oh, you know, value for money, all of that stuff, like when I transitioned into a felt hook lover, like it's because the quality is there. So I'm not like struggling to crochet because it's just sliding on the hook. Like it does what it needs me to do, rather than me sitting there like pulling apart my yarn because it's caught on a snag or slowing me down, that sort of thing. And the hook heads weren't round, sorry, they were too round for me. In Tunisian, I feel like and I don't know if this is personal preference, but for me those were not, I didn't get on well with those hooks at all, because you need to get into the stitch with your hook the way the whole thing works. Yeah, so you want to get
need that point to get into the stitch. Wow.
Yeah.
So for you, do you think that knitters catch on to Tunisian better than crocheters?
I honestly don't. I honestly don't know. I can only say from my perspective. But because I had a grasp of knitting, and I'm used to leaving things on the, maybe on the cable, potentially that like helped with that scenario as well. But even if you have like a straight hook, I'm trying to see if I have any, but I have all my fells there. Even if you had a hook with a long enough what's this, shaft?
Shaft.
Yeah. Neck. There you go. You could try a Tunisian, like literally maybe 5 or 6 stitches with your normal Fells Odyssey, and just see how you feel with it. Like if you love it, then you can then invest in, you know, a Tunisian crochet hook. Then you can do the bigger pieces rather than just trying a little tiny swatch.
Now with Tunisian, I find that it always rolls. How do you get it from rolling? the fabric that you're making, how do you get it from rolling?
So there's 2 things with that. One is, well, it depends on how you want the fabric to look. So what I do when I'm starting a project, if it's like my own design, I do a swatch in a few of the different sizes to see how I like the stitch kind of definition. And because if you go up too much of a hook size, it's going to leave some holes in it. If you go down too much, it's going to be too tight. It's going to curl up like completely on yourself. Right. So you've got to get the balance in the middle. Usually people recommend going up 1 to 2 hook sizes, but it all depends on the drape you want to get, and how close you want those stitches to be together visually as well. So I think for the February issue, I think I went up maybe 4 or 5 sizes. I think I used a 9mm Tunisian hook, but I had the yarn, I used the Wonder yarn and I doubled it. So normally with the Wonder yarn, I think you use like maybe a 5mm hook, but because it was doubled, I went way up to a 9mm Tunisian hook. It still did curl a bit, so you still will get a bit of curl, but because I wanted the stitches, because it's a cable, you don't want them to look holey, you want it to look like a full piece of fabric. So I definitely wanted that look, so I went for the 9. If I wanted to eliminate the curl completely, I possibly could have gone for maybe a 10 or a 12mm Tunisian hook, but then it would have looked more gappy.
So essentially, the smaller the hook size, the closer the stitches will be together, and vice versa. And then
that's what creates the curl.
That's
so
what
you can't win. You've got to balance it out. But what I did with the March issue with the table runner is a border around the edge. So you block it, you do your like steam block, or if you're using a wool, you want to do your wet block or whatever. And then I did I think it was just a single crochet in the back loop or something around the edge, just to keep it flatter. I could have maybe done one more round, and then it keeps it like the more rounds you go with the single crochet, the flatter it gets because it combats the
Curl.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, in knitting, does knitting cause a curl as well? Because
so when you're doing certain stitches, when you're doing stockinette stitch, it will cause a curl. If you're doing a ribbon stitch, you don't get the curl. If you're doing like cables, you won't get the curl. Garter, you won't get the curl, but stockinette curls this way. So Tunisian usually curls this way. If you're working in rows up this way, Tunisian will curl like, I guess, vertically
on itself.
Whereas, whereas stockinette will curl in on itself this way. So it's quite funny.
That's interesting. I just am always so fascinated by what the fabric does, you know, what the fiber does when it's manipulated in different ways. I think it's
exactly.
Yeah. And then
I'm just plugging in my laptop because
we don't want to do that.
Yeah. There we go. Cool. But that's what I love to do. Like when I'm designing, sometimes it's fun to just sit there, and I don't like wasting time. I say wasting time is investing time. I don't always like investing time on trying a small swatch, but even when I made this, like I tried a small swatch of the cable because I wanted it to fit, and I wanted it to have a bit of a loose fit. So I didn't want to, you know, do too less stitches and then not be able to wear it. You're going to invest time making something, so you can just play around with your stitches, see how you get along. If you like it, I made another swatch before I settled on this pattern, and I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it, and when I looked at it, I was like, oh, in theory it was going to be great, but I don't like it. So then I just started again.
Wow. So when you're in the process of designing, when you say, okay, I want to make, I don't know, a sweater, do you draw it out, or do you just start knitting or crocheting or Tunisian crochet your idea out? Like, what is your design process? And does it change?
It definitely changes. It changes because depending on if I'm submitting for a magazine, they usually request that you have a sketch. So prior to submitting for magazines, I never used to sketch. I always just used to go with the flow. I used to try and then like rip it back, and if I didn't like it, I did where the wind kind of took me. But now I would say that I'm a bit more structured in, even if I'm not designing for a magazine, I might just draw up a little sketch if I have to work out like the construction of something. If I'm not concerned about the construction of something, like when I made this, I just went. I did the swatch first to get the right number of stitches, and then I was just like, okay, let's go. So it will depend on what reason I'm designing for. If it's just like for myself, and then I might make it into a pattern eventually, like I won't necessarily draw a sketch at all. But if I'm designing for like a commission for a magazine or something, I always sketch.
Always sketch. And so, okay, so after you've done the sketch, do you crochet and then write, crochet then write, or do you do the whole thing and then try to write it out? Like, how do you remember what the heck you did? She's like, I know.
I'm really naughty, and I'm trying to get better at it, because basically, well, it depends so most of my things I try and make in a repeat. So if it's like 4 panels, I would write out what I need to do for the 4 panels, or I have it in my head like to a T what I need to do for the 4 panels, and then I make the 4 panels. If I'm doing something where it's a little bit more complex, I write it as I'm going, just so I can try and remember. But there's times where I've got like little post-it notes where I've written down a note, and I'm like, oh, where's that note gone? Like I needed to chain this much and then do this, and I've lost the note. So I'm really trying to get better at writing it down as I go. But it slows down my process, honestly. And I just want to go. So sometimes I do. and sometimes I don't, and then I have to like go back, and but as long as I have the piece in front of me, I'm usually okay, because I can go back and be like, oh, I did this here, I did that there.
Okay.
So I'm okay. Or I know that I've decreased every 2 rows, or I know that I've, like I can keep it in that way. But yeah. I'm trying to do it as I go along. I have on occasion written up, but it's just when it's just like basic things like a table runner, I would write that. I just write what I'm doing and then I'll do it, because it's just a 2-row repeat. So that's easy.
That's easy. But yeah, something like the cables that you have is like, oh my gosh, how in the world do you do that? How do you, in your mind? I just think a designer's mind is so amazing, because you guys have these stitches in your head and you're like, okay, if I do this and I do this and I put it together, it's gonna make this. And you're like, what? Me as a, I'm a pattern reader, right? I'm like, how did she know or he know that if you train one and single crochet and then double crochet, how did you know this is going to come out so awesome? So I'm always impressed by you guys. All right, I've been talking a lot. I want to hear what the folks in the comments are saying.
Yes, definitely.
Leanna said, Mrs. Deveter, I think us designers should give you a challenge. We should give you a concept and you make up some earrings and write up the pattern. This would be so you guys, I don't know. I don't know. I just get so, I'm like, what? You want me to do what? Like, I did these, but it's just a basic granny square that I folded. Like, it's the simplest pattern in the world. It's so simple. But I'm like, I want to design crochet earrings, but I think I'm intimidated. Like, what if it doesn't make sense? What if, it looks and sounds good to me, but somebody else who's reading it is like, okay, she don't know what she doing kind of thing. So I don't know.
You have so many resources around you. So like, even if you got any of the team at Furls to check it, like I'm sure they'll be like, okay, you just need to do this, you just need to do that to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Or if that's not your style, like there's so many people on YouTube that just do like a little tutorial rather than a written pattern, because it's not their flow to write something down, but they still want to share their craft with everyone. So yeah. And then even something like that, if you wanted to like, you could try and record yourself crocheting, because it is like you're doing the earrings, they're a smaller piece, so it's not like you have to do it over like days. Maybe you could sit down in one setting and record yourself, and then if you can go back and then say, oh, that's what I did at that point, perfect, I'll add an extra note. Because I feel like I've done it a million times where I've just gone ahead, I've made something, and then I'm like, oh, I'm forgetting that tiny note. And that's why I try and note it on the post-it note, because I'm like, I'm going to need this. And that's true. Rihanna said that's what pattern testers are for. That's so true.
So we have some questions coming in. So I want to let them ask, how much time is devoted to help after a pattern is released?
Yeah, so I believe Crochet Foundry say at least 3 months, like just to be on hand. But if you guys like, you don't have to stick to that, just message me, and it's my pattern, I will help you, so don't worry about that.
And then we have another question. Is there ever a time when you've written a pattern and released it and then want to change everything about it?
Not everything at all. But there might be a time where I'm like, oh, I could have done the ribbing on that like a little bit longer, or I could have, I think, well, I'll speak for myself as a designer. There's usually 99% of the time something I want to tweak, but it won't be everything. It'll be like one thing. So I definitely like, even this that I made, like I would have just made it a little bit longer on my sleeves, because it does reach my wrist, but when I'm stretching and doing things, like it's not quite where I wanted it to be. So I want to make another one, and I'll just do it a little bit longer, and then that's the one aspect. It's just the ribbing I would have done a bit longer. So definitely there are things I want to change.
And with that, like, So after you've released the pattern and it's out there in the world, do you ever do like an addendum or an edit and say, you know, a remix or something like that of a pattern?
I had to, for that very first pattern I was saying that I created, the Tunisian in the round.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do it for that. I can't remember what was missing, but there was like a note missing, or there was something that wasn't so clear.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had someone reach out to me and was like, oh, how do you do this? And I was like, oh, you do it like this. And I was like, oh, let me add that to the pattern. I will update it.
Yeah,
So I updated it. So
that's
I think that's one thing that can be a bit like, not scary, but it might hold someone back if you're like, oh, sugar, like, oh, once it's out there, like it's out there. But
yeah.
you can release like, I guess version
Mm,
2
yep.
and say,
That's
oh,
what
I've
I just
seen so
said.
many, yeah, 2.0, there you go. I've seen so many people do that, where they've released another version, or they've, you know, translated it, or they've done something and they're like, oh, I've translated it, like, here are the other languages, that kind of thing.
Mm,
So yeah,
that's
like, don't,
cool.
if that worries you, don't let that hold you back. Or
Okay.
make a sister version, you know.
I love that. This is the version. Now, since we, with your lovely accent, we know you're in the UK, do you use UK terms or US terms?
When I'm doing magazine work, I always have to do it for the audience that it's based in.
Mhm. Okay.
So Crochet Foundry, I do US
Yes.
terms, and then if I'm working with anyone in the UK, it will be the UK term.
Do you
But
ever get confused?
so my brain actually thinks in US terms, because
Mm,
when I learned, it was from like YouTubers, and I think it was more common to use US terms.
mhm.
So when I'm writing out the notes that I'm doing for a pattern for the UK, I actually write it in US, and I have to go back and scribble it and be like,
Oh,
whoops, that's not a double crochet, that's a single crochet. Like, I have to
right.
change my whole like thought process, which makes me laugh. Like, you would
Yes.
think it's the other way around, but I'm like fluent, I guess you would say, in US terms, and not in the UK terms. So that makes me
Seriously.
laugh. Yeah.
Seriously, a friend of
Yeah.
mine posted on her Instagram that my second language is crochet, and it
Honestly.
absolutely is another language. And
Yeah.
those of us who are in the crafting world, like, we get it. Like, we understand if somebody is like, "Well, I was trying to do an SC and I couldn't figure out if it was a double," and I couldn't, you know, and people are like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
It's a completely different language, and the same could be said for knitting, and of course for Tunisian crochet as well. I just
Mhm.
love it. I love it. I
I
love
love
it.
it as well.
How are you celebrating Crochet Month? That's you know, here in the US, it's National Crochet Month.
National Crochet Month.
Yeah.
Um, I think we in the UK, for us, it's like National Craft Month or something as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
But I've been making just a granny square cardi using my Odyssey. I love
Hmm.
these, the yellow one.
Oh
So
yes.
beautiful.
The yellow
But
one.
I'm just making that for my daughter.
Yes. And of course,
Yellow.
I have a teeny tiny one. This is a C.
Oh, I need to get, so I've been like trying to build up my collection of fells because I love them, but
Yes.
I don't have anything smaller than a 3.75, which I think is an E.
E. Hmm.
I think that's an E.
Yeah.
But
I
my
have
daughter needs some smaller sizes.
this is my B hook.
Oh my gosh, it's so tiny. Do you use that for your earrings?
I use it for
Yeah.
earrings, and I cannot wait for them to come out with a 2.0 because that's the size I love for earrings. But I
Oh my
use these
gosh.
small ones for my dolls.
Oh, see, I admire people that make the dolls because I love them so much, especially like when you don't necessarily have a great representation of dolls out there. Like, I've been saying for years I'm gonna make my daughter one, but I don't love the process, so she still hasn't got it. Just like, I'm
It's
so sorry.
definitely a process, but it's so rewarding. Like,
Yeah.
I learned how to make dolls. Like, I started making dolls in 2021 maybe, and like seeing my growth has been
Mhm.
I'm like, you go, girl. Actually,
Yeah.
last night I took apart a doll because I was like, I really want to use this yarn. I'm never gonna sell
Oh,
this doll. So I took her apart and she was laying on a bed decapitated. And my daughter was like, Mommy,
oh.
really? It's
I
so
love the hair
adorable.
on the one you showed just now that you used Thatch
Oh
for.
yeah, she's
I
so
love
fun.
that. That is amazing.
I love her little self. She is too
So good.
freaking cute. I just love making dolls.
So good.
It's my favorite thing. Look at this one. Look at her hair.
That is amazing. See,
Isn't
my
she
daughter would
adorable?
love something like that. I've really got to got to do it. I
You
say as
gotta
soon as
do
I
it,
get some
mommy.
time, I've got to do it.
Yeah. How
I
old is
might
your
just use a
daughter?
thicker yarn. She's 4.5, so she'll be 5 in June.
Oh my goodness. Well, Mrs. Deveter might have to send her something. We'll
Oh.
see. Yeah. And you're having another baby.
Yes, another one. My second
Congratulations.
boy. Thank
Oh my
you. I
goodness.
can't wait now.
How exciting is that? Do you
I know.
crochet for your children at all? Do you make
Um,
little stuff?
so I'm making my daughter just a crochet granny square cardie now.
Mhm.
But I love making mummy and me stuff. So over the year, like the first pattern I released was a Tunisian in the round jumper that she modeled. She's on the little pattern. So cute. But I love making matching stuff. So when we were pregnant with my son, I made like matching Tunisian in the round. I made a dress for me, a dress for my daughter, and a vest top for my husband. And it's the cutest thing,
Oh
honestly.
my goodness.
I'm
I
sure I have
I
pictures.
I am begging Crochet Foundry to have a mommy and me or a family issue. Maybe it's
Yeah,
just a special edition and we can round up all of the designers who make mommy and me or family crochet items. I think that magazine would sell out because people are always looking for something, matchy matchy with the family. Come
yeah,
on, Crochet Foundry, we could do it.
yeah.
Let's do a mommy and me
I'm
magazine. That
so
would be
here for
super
that.
cool.
I love designing like for all ages. So
Yes.
I'm here for that. I think it's so cute. I just love it.
Ooh,
I can't get
me
over it.
too.
And
Yes, like
once you've done the hard work of doing the adult size, like the child size like flies. So
super
you
fast, right?
don't
And you,
start with the child size, start with the adult.
I think that would be super, super cool. I am so glad that we were able to get together, Victoria. This has been so much fun. Let everybody know where they can find you on social media or your website or whatever it might be.
So on all the spaces, I am at In the Stitch with Vix. If you need pattern support for any of my patterns, it's In the Stitch with Vix at outlook.com. So if you're scared to try something, you need a little bit of a push, like email me, it's fine. Message me on Insta, it's fine. That's what people have done in the past with my Crochet Foundry patterns, and I've hoped as far as I know, I've been helpful. So I'm always here to help. We're a community. I love the Crochet Foundry community. So, I'm not going to, even if I'm doing something else, I'll always come back to you. So yeah, it's fine.
That's awesome. Thank you again so much for hanging out with
Thank
me today.
you. I'm
Now
sorry
we
about last
have
week, but I'm so glad we got to chat.
no need to be sorry. Everything happens for a reason. This has been a great conversation, and I want to give away a magazine. So I am going to ask everyone to post. What should we tell them to post in the comment section? A ball of yarn. So you have to find the emoji of a ball of yarn, put it in the comment section. Starting right now, go ahead and only one entry, please. Only put your ball of yarn one time. You put multiple balls of yarn, but just send it one time. And then I'm going to scroll
Oh,
and
there it
Victoria
goes.
is going to say stop. So go ahead, get started, everybody. You can put multiple balls of yarn. Don't matter, but just send it one time, please.
There we go. They're coming in.
Yeah, they're coming in. And for those of you, I saw you in the comment section asking about Odyssey hooks and you want Odyssey hooks. I believe there was a recent restock. So if you have not already, make sure you go and check out the Furls Crochet website and see what hooks they have available. Last week they released 10 new colors of Wander yarn. Have you seen them, Victoria?
I have seen them. I was like, oh, that green looks perfect for
right?
spring.
Oh my gosh. These colors are just fabulous.
I love it.
So make sure you get your yarn if you have not already done so. And make sure you sign up for the newsletter so that you know when things are in stock. All right, are y'all done? Use the emoji search bar if you're having trouble finding yarn. I love that. I love helpful people. So if you can't find the ball of yarn, here's what you should do. If you're on.
I wouldn't have even known that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ada. Appreciate you. Ooh, hi. Okay. All right. Are y'all done? I don't see a whole lot of balls of yarn in here.
They're in between comments now.
Yeah, I'm like, what's happening? People are commenting other things. Okay. I did win the February. Yes, you did, Megan. Congratulations. She won the February issue. So I hope you are excited about making something. Is everybody ready? Did you all put your yarn in? Oh, there's a lot of comments in between my yarn balls. But okay, I am scrolling. Tell me when to stop, Victoria.
Stop.
Okay. The Naked Snail. Congratulations. You are the winner of the March issue of Crochet Foundry magazine. Please email support@crochetfoundry.com and we will send you your issue of the magazine. You can put in the subject line winner and today's date, which is 3/9/2023. All right. Congratulations, Naked Snail. Congratulations for everybody. Thank you again so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate your time. What time is it over there now?
It is almost 4:45 in the evening or afternoon.
In the afternoon. All right.
I'm gonna have to think about dinner soon.
Yes, I was getting ready to say, let me let you go so you can go get started on dinner for the family. Thank you again, Victoria.
Thank you so much.
Patterns, and we're always excited to see you in the magazine.
Thanks
you,
everyone for joining.
Yes, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Have a fantastic remainder of your day. I can't wait to see what you are making. Post it for Finished Friday. I never do that, but post something for Finished Friday and use I Love My Furls hashtag. All right, everyone. Have a great one. Bye.